Voy a estar presentando de los walkouts de 1968 en lo que estaba pasando en 1968 es que Chicanos they weren't being represented, o sea, ellos no tenían representación en las escuelas o en los trabajos o en el gobierno, y ellos querían tener más oportunidades y querían igualdad y querían mejores estudios, mejor educación. Y en este tiempo East LA era el lugar que tenía la más población de latinos, y unemployment was high, which means that like the Latinos were only going into the labor workforce y no estaban yendo a los trabajos donde pagan mucho porque no tenían mucha escuela y no podían agarrar trabajos buenos donde pagan bien. Por eso the unemployment was high. And those walkouts eran parte de un grande movimiento que se llamaba the Chicano Movement. O sea, donde los chicanos estaban peleando para más rights, for more rights. Y the education system, at this time, los estudiantes sintieron como su cultura de ellos no estaba representado en la educación. O sea, los maestros le estaban burlando de ellos, les decían, why are you wearing that? Why are you bringing your beans to school with rice and stuff? Like, they would pick on them and harass them. And there was like two groups, and it was like some students did go to college and the teachers would motivate them, but other students, they were just mandándolos to the work, to just in the fields or in like the labor workforce. Y the school board wasn't like paying attention to them. Like, they were saying, oh, we want this, we want that, and ellos no estaban haciendo nada. And also there was like a lot of dropout rates, and the graduation rates were low because a lot of them couldn't read and they couldn't write, so they couldn't get like good jobs. And they were forced to become part of the American culture and to leave their Mexican culture behind. And querían más representación y igualdad. Y entonces, por este problema, hicieron unos protests donde con unos walkouts se siguieron de la escuela porque eso that represented them like getting like showing the government that they wanted change. And they were like otros estudiantes de otras escuelas here in East LA estaban comunicándose con otras escuelas y diciéndole, hey, tenemos que ponernos juntos to like do this big movement para que vean que de veras queremos cambiar. And then so that's why they took action in this protest. And los maestros, they didn't care if a ellos no les importaba si podían escribir o leer los estudiantes. Los estudiantes they felt like they weren't getting enough academic support, and they weren't prepared for the real world. And uno de los maestros era Sal Castro, y él fue el que organizó todos los protestos y todas las escuelas para decirles, hey, vamos a hacer esto. And let me put a video. Okay, so that's kind of what they did. And then okay, entonces they Okay, wait. Okay, entonces ellos querían, they did this, they protested because ellos querían, like the staff and the teachers to be more diverse and to show more of their culture, and like they wanted Latino counselors and teachers and staff, and because they wanted their culture to be expressed, and they also wanted equal treatment for because they were being harassed again for being Mexican, and they wanted the same opportunities as other students because they weren't treated equally, and then they wanted to put an end to unfair treatment from the schools and to be represented, and ultimately they wanted change. That was ese día, y yeah, and entonces the news of this protest, it started going everywhere. It started going to the FBI, it started going to the government, to the school board, everywhere. And so then with the protest came violence. So muchos de los FBI vinieron, los policías, y les pegaban to the students. They would treat them down and like take them down and stuff because they were trying to control them, but they actually showed a lot of violence towards the students, y a lot of them were arrested and beaten. So muchos se enojaron porque decían, hey, why are you guys doing this? We're just simply protesting for our rights, you know? So like a lot of fights broke out, and the students were hurt, and they were even more upset. So in the end, oh yeah, wait, hold on, let me show you a video of the protest.
Your limitations, but I'm also saying that we, the students,
law enforcement began.
Okay. So then.
No, todavía no hacía.
Okay. So then, después de los walkouts que pasaron, muchos se fueron arrestados, even el maestro Sal Castro que salió, and the news spread to the FBI and to the school boards, LAUSD, and all that stuff, and the community members were getting involved too, like the parents were getting involved, and so then Sal Castro lo arrestaron, y los community members protested to the school board saying if he could be released from jail, and they ended up voting to have him released, so he was freed, and this ended up just making the protests a lot stronger, and in the end, they had in the end the students and the Latino students ended up getting like equal rights, and they more programs because of this. I know there's programs like EOP and stuff to help low income students and stuff like that from low income communities, and for other minority students as well. And it just overall the movement, the walkouts just gave them the Chicano students a representation and a voice. So now in the schools there's a lot of Latino staff and stuff, and in the end they just challenged the government, and they actually fought for what they wanted, and they ended up getting it. And so now there's a lot more diversity in the schools here in East LA, and it's the walkouts are one of the big reasons why we have the opportunities and programs that we have now, and it bettered the education system, which was one of their main goals.